Silent!
Good evening and welcome to Live Long and Podcast. And of course, this is the Orville Rewatch Podcast. And today we're looking at Season 3, Episode 6, Twice in a Lifetime. And of course, it is Family Day here in Canada. And what better way to spend the podcast than with my extended family? And that, of course, is the podcasters we have here. And without further ado, we have Mr. Car Troubles himself. That, of course, is Kevin Millard.
Thanks for that. I really appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah.
It's not a sore spot for me right now anyway.
It's all better now?
Oh, yes, totally. Yeah, no.
All right. And of course, we have the producer extraordinaire. That is, of course, the man who runs marathons, Dave Mater.
Only half marathons, Jody.
Oh.
It's only a half.
Oh.
It's only half as impressive.
Right. So the man who completes half a race.
I only do half,
the
you know.
All right.
Therefore, I win. But, you know, that's my look at it.
And, of course, we have, who could forget, the man who travels everywhere. And half the time we don't know if he's going to be on the podcast, but here he is. That, of course, is Adam Woodward.
Hey, that was nice, Jody. The extended family. I feel the same about you guys. That's great.
Well, you know, I had to do something. Anyway. Hey, Sam. Wow, it looks like I'm always looking over to the side because of this setup. But anyway, we are, as I said, talking about Season 3, Episode 6, Twice in a Lifetime. How do you guys feel about this?
Wait.
What?
Did you guys hear the news about Sam?
What news?
I heard the news about Sam Dave.
Oh, he's your extended family, perhaps.
I'm not going to go that far, Sam. But okay.
Sam's got some good news to share.
Oh, does he?
He's taken a plunge in the academics world as becoming a computer programmer.
Ah, good for him.
Wow, congratulations, Sam.
Have fun and make sure you don't have hair by the time you're 40. So that'll work out well.
And Sam is part of the extended family. He's on more podcasts than I am.
That's true. That is true. Anyway, Orville is what we're talking about, not just Sam, even though I'm sure that's a podcast worthy itself. What did you guys feel about this one? This is kind of a rehatch of another storyline from earlier. How do you feel about it?
I'll go first, so if you're not guys don't mind. I was going into this episode not looking forward to it.
Okay.
The first time I watched it, I don't think I quite enjoyed it. I did enjoy this time, but more than that is I think finally we got a real sense of that the guy who plays Malloy could act. I can't remember his name, but his real name. He was great.
Yeah, especially at the end, like near the end, was really good.
Scott Grimes.
Thank you. Yeah. Because this was something completely out of character for this guy.
True.
Right.
Because usually he's the comic relief, if anything.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was a little bit of a pull the strings kind of episode, I guess. Not a ton of action, except for a couple of the outer space scenes before the travel. But past that, I thought it was all right. Dave, what are you thinking?
Well, I thought there's a fair bit of action. Like, I don't know, like hundreds, if not thousands of people died leading up to the time travel of it all. But like that whole and the whole space station that got blown up too. But we didn't see that was off camera. So I liked this episode. I think that it is a strong science fiction story, or a little bit of a new take on it in some ways. Although on the rewatch, I found that I think it could have been a little better. It was not as good as I remembered it.
It's a bit draggy.
It's a bit draggy. I think that the plot line with Isaac and Charlie is a little whatever.
Oh, yeah, okay. There's some bad parts.
I think that I think that Scott Grimes is very good, but I don't think Seth MacFarlane is really good as an actor in this.
Very, very phoned in for him. Yeah.
Yeah, and he wrote this.
Yeah.
So that's like I found that like in terms of his as his performance, it just didn't come through as much to me. So I feel mixed on it. Overall, it's mostly positive.
All right.
Yeah, me too. Those are pretty much my sentiments as well. I could do without all the Charlie and Isaac stuff. This was boring. It wasn't funny. I know they were trying to make jokes here and there. None of them land for me. I don't buy that Isaac would be trying to win her favor. He doesn't have emotion. So what are we doing? Why is he reaching?
Yeah, why does he care?
He didn't even reach this much with Claire, who he was in a relationship with. Like, I just don't get any of it. The Malloy having to leave his family and all of that was great. And all the stuff before they went, all the Kalon, and that was all great. But it's really let down in the last half of the episode. It's just kind of boring.
Do you guys find that this season, like these seasons that are going now over an hour long, are feeling an hour? Like it's just a little bit.
They feel, in my opinion, they feel about 20 minutes too long.
Yeah.
Like you could easily clip 20 minutes off. It's almost like there's some scenes that they extend just because they know they have a longer runtime. Because this is the streaming platform, right? We're not on Fox anymore. We're on the streaming platform. So you can do whatever you want now.
I think there's something to be said about that, with when they have the constraints of the 44, 45 minute time limit to an episode, and they have to, cut scenes and dialogue and different things that they don't have that here. And so therefore I think some of the episodes do feel a little bit bloated.
Yeah.
Artists never think so, but artists do better with constraints. They'll argue with you till they're blue in the face that it's not true. It's totally true.
Yep.
Well, that it's also how I kind of feel about, the 26 episode season that I know is probably a relic of the past at this point. But I think that the fact that they had to chug out those episodes at that pace for decades, and
no matter what the story they told, they had a constraint to how much they could put in the episode. So
how much they can, and we have to move on to the next episode. And with this, it's like, well, it's only 10 episodes, and we can really release it whenever the hell we want to, So that's like Strange New Worlds. Like maybe it's coming out in a month, maybe in 2 months. Who knows? I don't know. Like, and it's whenever they feel it's ready. But I think that the constraint of like, hey, let's deliver this on time to the audience sometimes does yield good results, and sometimes not. Like sometimes it's quite the opposite.
Well,
so,
yeah,
sure.
I think it hit the nail right on the head there, Dave. Like and I think it's the same problem that we have with modern Star Trek, for instance, where the quality goes down because the restraints aren't there. And it's, to me, I think in a lot of scenarios, some of the quality is gone because of the fact that we can put in whatever stupid scene we want. We don't have restrictions. We can just kind of, I'm sure they have a set time that they want to get to, but it always, like, especially this season, feels like there's a lot of filler. Like there's a lot of scenes that drag out a little too long, stuff like that. So
I don't personally think there's been one episode where I think, wow, it felt long. And I'm not saying, because I think some of them feel very short before this. However, I think there's a medium, and when you get into 1 hour and 12 minutes long or 15 minutes long, it feels long.
You're starting to get to movie territory. Like
movies.
Does everybody remember?
What, 83 minutes or something like that? Like it was.
Yeah. Does everybody remember when movies were an hour and a half long? Like, and not
only an
these
hour and a half.
4.5 hour odysseys? Like,
yeah, it was great. You could go to the theater and you knew when you were getting out.
Yeah, well, that's really only horror movies now that are like that 90 minutes or less than 2 hours because...
Or kids' animated movies. Yeah.
Or kids' animated movies. But you want to go see most other movies, theater movies now, it's like, well, no one's going to come out for... I guess this is what I think the mindset is. No one's going to come out for a 2-hour movie or even a 2.5-hour movie.
But
it has to be 3.
I used to be a GM of a big megaplex, and I'll tell you, when the movie started hitting 3 hours, you only could do 3 hours at 3 shows a day.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you have to have time to clean up the theater.
Yeah,
you gotta have time to reset up everything.
It became constraining. For the exhibitionists I'm talking about, just because you needed that for a show to make money. You know what I mean? So then you got to pick your time. Like, I know we're going off topic here, but it's relevant. 7 o'clock used to be a good time, and then you could do a 9:30.
Yeah,
but now you got to do a 7:30 or 8 o'clock. Takes you 11, and anyway.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing.
So this either feels to me like a really long episode or a really short movie, but so.
And I normally really love time travel episodes. I love when they try to get into the past, and they didn't. I don't feel like they did a lot of that here. Like,
no, we didn't experience any of the crew going around in like this 2000 and what is it, 2000?
right? Like they knew how to drive those motorcycles right away. Let's have a Kirk not knowing how to drive the car scene or something. Anything,
Yeah.
Or
right?
Scotty talking to a computer with a mouse.
I'm from this century, and I wouldn't know how to ride a motorcycle like without someone teaching me the basics of it. Like,
True.
I don't even know how to change gears. Like, it's with your foot.
It is with your foot,
Yes, it is with your foot. Yep.
Okay.
But you're almost there, Dave. Already, you're almost a motorcycle pro.
Well, hey, who knew? It was just knowing about the
Exactly.
gears of your feet.
But you know what you are good at talking about, Dave?
What's that?
Science fiction. So let's get into it.
Yep.
All right. So here we are, and mind me, I might be a little off here. So we start off with Gordon doing I guess a guitar little ceremony or something. I don't know what the hell this is, but I guess he just decided to pick up the guitar while everybody's drinking. And he sings a song. I don't know the song personally, but I think it's the song that she was singing in the bar ages ago, wasn't it? Or is it a different song?
I think it's a different song.
Is it? Okay.
I got the impression it's meant to be his a song he wrote.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah, and it's like he's a nice singer, and he plays a little like that soft guitar. I don't know. I guess it's not for everybody, but it's.
Was this actually him?
I think so. Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is him.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He does have a musical background, so I do know that he does have some of that stuff. I don't know if it's guitar, mind you, but we also didn't disappoint with the aliens there again. We got to see the big, huge guy in the background there. And this guy here I haven't seen before.
Well, they're all in their civilian wear for this party, which I guess is in Gordon's quarters. Because he's like, "Oh, the best party ever, where everyone, you're already home. You don't have to go anywhere. You're on a ship. I don't think it's that hard to go."
Yeah, it's not like really rolling to your room is going to be that big of a problem here.
This is like you're at a hotel and the party's in your room. That's not a good thing usually. But anyway, but the other thing with all the civilian wear, couple thoughts.
I thought you would. That's why I took some pictures.
Well, like the men's stuff is, compared to some of the stuff we saw in Star Trek, it's okay. But
fine. Yeah.
it's fine. Like it's no Jake Sisko or kind of like sweaters or Wesley Crusher sweaters.
I don't know. This one guy here kind of has a little bit of a sweater thing going on.
Yeah, that's okay.
But it's better than the Cassius, or whatever his name was, the teacher, his sweaters.
Yeah, all of his shirts were awful. Anyway, so but the women, because these uniforms are they have this big structure on the shoulders and everything, they look so much smaller without those uniforms on. In particular Charlie. I think I was like, man, she's small. And I think the first time I saw Tala out of uniform too.
Go back a couple. Looks like she's wearing like a Starfleet uniform there.
Oh, like in
the one on the right
and stuff. Yeah.
The one on the right.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, and so first time I noticed Tala, how small she is, and really, and then Charlie here as well, and I was and I was also thinking about Tala's predecessor. What was her name? Alara. And knowing that McFarlane dated both of them and Amelia Clark and others, I'm like, man, he's got a type, these tiny
girls,
yeah, women type. Right. So anyway, there's this whole conversation here that takes place between Charlie and Malloy, right? Next with the phone.
Yeah. So she ends up finding the phone, which is the replicated iPhone from a couple episodes back. Well, we're in a couple, I guess, at this point, but anyway, so she's obviously interested about it, and he's like, "Yeah, this is a cell phone. This is what they use for communication. Oh, and this is the girl that owned it, and they found it in a time capsule and all that." And so and then I guess at this point they decide they're going to do a selfie. So they do the selfie, which Bortus obviously is really enjoying the selfies. He loves them. So anyway, we end up going into the science area, engineering science area, and we see Lamar. And Lamar is basically screwing around with this time thing again, which obviously is going to end just as well as it did the last time. But anyway, so they figured out that they can make it on a more grander scale. And so they're first Malloy gets the idea of having his egg salad sandwich, which, by the way, this looks like a disgusting egg salad sandwich. I don't know about you guys, but
egg salad is not my favorite in general.
I like egg
salad, but that looks dry. That looks
really dry. Like it looks like somebody just put an omelet on top of 2 pieces of bread.
Also, I figured in the future we would have moved past Wonder Bread.
Well,
maybe not.
You know what? Sometimes the classics are there.
Like, what do you need to like? Mayonnaise has already got is eggs. So you're just mixing eggs with eggs. It's silly, really.
It's fine.
Like we need to get into the minutia here of egg salad, guys. Like, and no, actually, I wanted to ask you about the phone and the fact that hey, you remember how Gordon asked about, hey, let's take a selfie, and Charlie goes, what? Right?
Yeah.
Do people not take pictures? We know they do. We know that there are like framed pictures on people's.
I guess they just don't call them
selfies anymore.
Yeah, maybe my guess.
Yeah.
But anyway, we get this terrible selfie, which obviously Bortus is the best person out of it. And then Malloy gets this idea to like send his sandwich like 3 years ahead or something like that, or 3 months.
My favorite
ahead.
here
3 months.
is they send the sandwich 10 seconds into the past, so then they have 2 sandwiches, and then he asks why not, and it's like this, what if he didn't send it, and it's like this big temporal paradox or whatever. But then Malloy's like, hey, can we fuck around with this and send a sandwich in the future? They're like, let's do it.
Well, I guess it wouldn't hurt anything.
Yeah, basically they realize that they've got this working, and it can be very dangerous in the wrong hands, I guess is a good way to say it. So then Sam shows up, and Sam's
not
like,
Sam.
Oh, sorry.
Sam Malone shows up.
No, not the Sam going to computer school.
No. I'm talking about Sam, the guy who runs the bar in Boston.
Yeah.
Sam Malone.
Yeah, Sam Malone. Yeah. So anyway, Admiral Sam Malone shows up, and he's like, "Yeah, no, you need to bring this to our ultra secure facility. We're gonna, get a barrage of people to show up, and they're gonna escort you there." So sure enough, they're getting escorted. I can't remember what this chick says. Something along the lines of, "We have to speed it up" or something.
She tells them that they aren't able to get a hold of anybody at the station.
Oh,
yes. They're going to maximum to get there.
Oh, yeah, they're going faster, yeah. So anyway, they eventually show up at the station. Everybody does the blank look, and of course, it is completely destroyed, which is obviously not a good thing. And then these guys show up, the Kayla, because, those guys always like to mess things up. And so we have this little kind of battle that ensues, and then we get, of course, our title card, which is Twice in a Lifetime. And we get to see this very well done battle. Obviously,
yeah, I'm not normally a big fan of the battles. This was good. This was
good
quick. It was violent. It was quick, and then it was over. It's good.
The thing I love about this show,
it didn't drag on forever.
like in Next Gen, you always had like whenever they had like the massive battles. Yes, there would be casualties then, but like the casualties in this show, like I don't know how many ships they go through, but my God, do they get the shit kicked most of the time? Like
they lose like cruisers, they lose like
they lose everything. Yeah,
everything.
Constantly.
Well, they got 3,000 ships.
Well, not anymore.
2,000 and something now.
They got to get rid of them. They don't have enough people to man them.
Captains.
Not enough captains.
Everyone's getting promoted now.
Well, as far as I can tell, everybody's an admiral. But who knows? So anyway, did we lose somebody?
Dave, there he is.
I'm back.
Oh, there's Dave. All right.
Sorry, I was sending myself in 10 seconds into the future.
Did it work?
Time machine.
Did it work? And do you have?
He's created a paradox.
I created a paradox.
Reality.
You wanted 2 days, but it couldn't be done. So.
oh man, now what are we gonna do? Now we're stuck in 2025. Damn it. But anyway, so we see basically a whole bunch of shit kickings going on. We see a lot of things, and then we see one of the guys ends up putting them in the grapple. Tractor beam, excuse me. And at this point, they're kind of fighting to get out of it.
Because they know that the Kalon want the device, so I think they order for it to be destroyed, but then...
Yeah, and which I somehow have missed, but what's her name? Tala. She gets injured, so she can't actually go, because originally she was sent to go do it.
Do you know who you send? Bordis.
Yeah, how about not the pilot?
That's not the pilot. Yeah, like, he was like, I'll go do it, and I'm like, you're trying to fly, like, out of here.
Aren't you in the middle of, like... a big galactic war thing going on, like, you know.
Send Kelly, send Bordis, send anybody.
Send to his credit, he ain't flying anywhere if they're stuck in this tractor beam. So,
still, the second you get free from the tractor beam, you'll want the pilot at their post.
True. So anyway, we see. So Gordon ends up getting sent. Charlie gets thrown into the pilot chair. Well, not thrown, but she gets moved to it. And then at this point. They got this idea. Well, let's try to blow it up, and they're about to blow it up, and something goes wrong. Oh, what is this? I don't remember. Oh yeah, because he's about to blow it up. And then at this point, what do they call it? It's not a spore drive. That's Discovery.
Quantum drive.
Quantum drive. That's it. The quantum drive basically overloads or something like that. Causes this massive temporal influx thing, and Gordon's gone. And everybody's like, where the hell's Gordon? And they're like, I don't know, but I'm really waiting for that sandwich. But, you know, that didn't come either. So.
I think that sandwich does show up, by the way, in a future episode.
It does, actually, yeah. Yeah, it's a little Easter egg. It shows up later on. But, yeah, so anyway, they're talking about what could have happened. And they're like, well, if he's like, unconscious somewhere, we'd be able to detect him. He's gone.
Vaporized. They
wasn't even vaporized because there's no matter of his in this area. So it's like, yeah, that's delightful. So anyway, and then all of a sudden they get a message, an encoded message, and it turns out it's from him. And it was sent 400 years ago.
2015.
2015, yes. And well, 400 years ago to them anyway. And at this point, they figure out that he's actually been put in the past. And it turns out he also died there in 2068, which, oh, look at that. They actually gave you a whole backstory there. So I don't think.
Yeah, but they why? Okay, here's my other question about this whole plot: is
how he looks so good at 96.
Yeah, pretty good. But they have this entire like obituary basically about him, right? Including the fact he has children, right? And no one bothered to read it.
Yeah.
Like
because it's a surprise later that he has a wife and a kid.
It's this big shock. And I'm like, did no one read it? Like
it's literally like in the first paragraph.
Yeah. I don't. Well, I'm trying to.
Well, it
see
says
where...
he got married anyway.
Yeah, it says his wife Laura, blah blah blah, right in the right hand side there. Like, and so I'm like, okay, so if they manage to find this, you know, before you fly down to Earth and whatever else, make an important part of the briefing would be like, hey, what was Malloy up to at this particular time?
Yeah.
Well, the only thing you could say, like, you would think someone would read it, but that they're trying to go back to 2015, so none of that's going to matter.
Right. Okay, but anyway.
But you still think somebody would read it.
Yeah.
just out of curiosity.
Especially once they realized they didn't get to the year that they meant to.
Yeah. Not only that, but where is he? It says in the obituary where he died. So they obviously read something.
Why are they in Pasadena?
That's a good question.
Because she's not from Pasadena, and he talks about living in Connecticut.
I don't know. Maybe because he moved there for his job. I don't know. Who knows? Who cares? Anyway, so they decide, we're going to, there's a good theory here that we could take the entire ship into time travel and go back and get him. They're like, okay, that sounds like a great idea. Let's do it. So they end up doing it. And I did like this little shift scene where like everything kind of got warpy and stuff. I liked how they did that.
Do you think they actually asked for permission to go, or did they just go?
Oh,
did they ask? Went. They didn't ask Ted Danson.
They didn't ask Ted Danson.
I think they just go.
Ted Danson could be dead as far as we know at this point.
This is a pretty big, bold move to do this.
Yeah, you would think there would be like some people on the ship that would be like, I don't really want to partake in this. Is it okay if I leave? But where are they going to go? I guess
I guess they could take an escape pod. I guess. But,
or a shuttle or something. But anyway, so they get this idea. Yeah, no, we can do this. We just got to do it a certain way. And so at this point, they figured out they're back. By the way, they're now in. They figured out they're actually in 2025, not 2015, which means he's been there for 10 years. And they take these ships. Now, I have to admit, I love this shuttle.
I do too. Is this the first we're seeing it, or the first I'm noticing it?
First, you're noticing it. This has been all this season. They've used this shuttle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Finally, it gives them some windows.
Yeah, I like the new design. It's the old design was kind of just the mini Orville.
The best thing about it is in this same shuttle bay is that super slick, like really fast one that they have that Gordon was flying the one episode, and they've never used it since.
Never.
They will eventually use it, but yeah, it's weird.
Oh yes, that's right. There is one episode.
Yeah, but it's weird that they set it up in the first episode of this season, and it's yet to be used. You know?
Exactly. So,
but we see it almost every episode.
Right. Yeah. They always have to like fly over it and around it and move around it, because it's like this perpetual thing in their bay. But
yeah, so they decide that Charlie, Mercer, Kelly, and Isaac are going to be the ones that are going to go because Charlie can do some sort of calculation that they need or whatnot, and so can Isaac, and then the other two are just there because, you have to have all your command staff on an away mission. That's just how that works. But anyway, so they give Isaac the same technology that they used when they were hologram over themselves to hide from the... whatever those other guys
Krill?
Krill, there you go. Those are the guys. So anyway, they got Isaac, which happens to be just Isaac without the suit on.
and Ed makes this comment. He's like, how he thinks it's a bad idea, how the holographic disguises didn't work so well against the Krill. And you would think that like that line would set up that something would happen.
And nothing does.
Nothing does. Yeah,
nope,
like it's but you're expecting like, and Jane was like, as we're watching this, she's like, well, Isaac, like, yeah, he would look a little weird, but like people would just assume it's a guy in a weird suit. They wouldn't necessarily it wouldn't be like Bordas walking around.
This is such a clean ship, but I'm wondering if these were like purpose scuffs or if these were just scuffs that somebody accidentally tripped over the set at one point and caused the scuff on the side. Nobody cleaned it. But anyway, so they end up taking that, and these ships also have the ability to cloak, so they can cloak and go down into Earth. So anyway, and Isaac keeps trying to ask her like various questions, like just personal questions, like what kind of music do you like, and stuff like that. And it's like, and this is what I think it was Kevin that mentioned that earlier. It's like, what a stupid thing to have in this episode. Like, there's no need for this. He wouldn't have any reason to do this. Like, what's the point? But anyway, and even these two were like, why the hell is he even talking? But anyway.
Yeah. With the writer of the episode is like, I don't get this.
Yeah, but this is a really I wrote this scene? What the hell?
Yeah, those were genuine reactions by the actors. They were like, what the fuck are we doing?
Why are we in this scene?
Yes, I was drunk when I wrote this.
And Kelly's like, I'm here for the paycheck. But anyway, so we see them. They fly into the cityscape, which I guess is Pasadena?
Los Angeles, I believe.
Oh, is this LA?
I don't think it's Pasadena specifically. No.
Oh, okay.
I don't think Pasadena.
There's no
has
real
that kind of skyline. Although I think it's meant to look slightly more futuristic, perhaps, because it's. I don't know. Like this episode came out in 2022, and this is meant to be 2025. But there was a scene like where they're overhead, and it almost looked like there were some highway extensions or something.
Oh, really? I don't think I caught it. But anyway, so they come down, they land, they get out, and they're like a little bit away from the city line, I guess. And they decide they're gonna part ways.
You mean they didn't park right down in Golden Gate Park and just hope nobody walks into the ship?
Right. Well, it's good that you bring that up because this episode I do feel like is a homage to the Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home,
A little bit, yeah.
but a shorter, condensed version. And you have the two teams, one to look after one part of the time travel episode, and the Isaac and Charlie. They're looking for the fuel. They're looking for the nuclear vessels, I guess, of sorts. And I think to break down these barriers between Charlie and Isaac and her hatred of Isaac. But
it's already overdone as it is. So, like, do we really need more of it? I guess is really what it comes down to.
Yeah, we didn't need a resolution. They could have just abandoned it, and nobody would have cared.
Yeah. So then we get a scene at the airport where where a plane is just coming it's taxiing back into near the hangar. And it turns out Gordon's flying it, and I guess that's what he does now. I also like the fact that his lanyard has pilot written on it, so he knows who he is. That's handy. But anyway, and it looks like he's almost like he's like a high level boss in this company because he's like telling all these mechanics to do different things, and he's like trying to get this ship running and stuff like that. So anyway, and he looks over and he sees Kelly and Ed. But the problem is that it's been 10 years. It's like this guy's like already given up the idea of that. But
this
anyway,
is why he wants to stay in this world. In this time, he's a genius, not a fucking moron.
Yeah, he's not a borderline alcoholic who does pranks all the time.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, we see it turns out he drives Camrys because that's probably who sponsored this. But he's got the license plate Orville because the R somebody else already had.
Somebody took our Orville.
Which, let's be honest, Orville is funny.
Yeah.
For a completely different reason, but it is funny. And the fact that he's like, fully comfortable driving and all that, he's obviously, he's been here 10 years, he's figured it out, I guess. But he lives in a fairly decent neighborhood. Like there's Mercs here, there's a couple AMG stuff there. That's not a bad little neighborhood to be living in.
Not bad for a guy who showed up 10 years ago with not even like a piece of identification.
Yeah. And we find out that for the first 3 years, he was like in the woods avoiding everybody.
So he pulled this together in 7 years.
In 7 years, he managed to get some sort of credentials for a license for
I know a guy.
many things. Yeah,
A social security number, presumably.
But the biggest problem I have is he parked over the crosswalk. Why do you do that? Don't do that. People trying to walk.
That's a ticketable offense.
That's a ticket right there. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, he walks into his, fairly nice house there. And it turns out his wife's there, which is a surprise to these two, even though it was written right on the goddamn screen.
Yeah, well, okay. And he's wearing a wedding ring on the car ride over. There's just all these, I don't know. They of course they met the hologram version of his wife in the previous season, right? So it's not like she's a complete stranger.
Well,
to
this
them,
one
at
is
least.
because this one's real. But
this one's real, but they know her. They know who she is, right?
Yeah. But basically, he's like, "Yeah, no, these are friends from work," and she's like, "Oh, great, let's have lunch."
What do you think of his kid?
This kid's a doof.
Mm-hmm.
Look at him; he's a doof.
He looks like him, though.
Yeah,
it probably is his kid. I don't know. Maybe I'll find that out in fun facts. But anyway, so we see these two, and they're strolling down the highway here. And okay, number one, I understand he has to scan. Okay, but if you're driving down the side of the road and you see somebody, with this type of device, that's gonna kind of make you think about things, though. Like, what a weird looking thing.
What he's holding, he could just think it's a phone or something, right?
Floating with a glowing bar on the top. I don't know about that, but anyway, it's.
So if you saw this driving down the road, you would hit the brakes and go, "What the hell is that?"
I would be concerned. I would be like, "What the hell is this about?" But anyway, I probably wouldn't have stopped. I do like how they're going to the Iron Eagle, though. I thought that was pretty good.
Is that a reference to something?
It is something that McFarlane has said time and time again. He loves the movie Iron Eagle. So I'm pretty sure that's why it's in there. But
okay, I don't know what that is.
You don't know what Iron Eagle is? Oh, it's an '80s movie. It's great.
It is an '80s movie. Lou Gossett Jr.
Lou Bassett, and the other kid who's the main star, who I don't know what his name is. But anyway, it's an '80s movie. Let's put it that way.
Okay, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, but Charlie's like, that looks like a drinking hole. Let's go there. You know, she sees all the motorcycles, which I guess she knows how to drive motorcycles.
She must.
She must. Or maybe she's really just eyeing that truck with 3 wheels.
She's from Texas, guys.
Because they have to get 26 kilometers to where they need to go, which, yeah, it would take, like, probably, like, I don't know.
They have a cloaked ship. Why the hell did they have to go this far back?
Yeah.
Like,
True.
why don't you just drop off the 2 of them, and then the other 2 can take the shuttle over to the area, and then drop it off somewhere over there? But anyway, reasons, I guess. So they go into this biker bar, I guess it is, and the guy on the far right, I think, is probably the most entertaining. That guy clearly does not belong in a biker bar, but yet he is in there. But anyway, this guy here I'm talking about. This is like one of the producer's friends. You know damn well he just doesn't fit.
This didn't feel quite like a real biker bar. Not that I've been to one, but I don't know. Like it felt a little bit, I don't know, artificial.
Yeah, it didn't feel very authentic, I guess. But either way, who cares? But anyway, she basically propositions a guy, and she's like, yeah, how about my buddy arm wrestles you here? Well, her brother, I guess it is. Arm wrestles you, and if he wins, we take your bikes. Which seems like a stupid deal. Like, but I guess this guy's horny enough, and she's like, well, you can have whatever you want if you win. And he's like, oh, okay, well, I need to get laid. I guess that makes sense. I'll risk my $40,000 worth of motorcycles, no problem. But anyway.
And so if they win the bet, what? She'll go on a date with him?
She says she's open to anything. She said something along the lines.
I feel like it was more than a date there.
I think it was more
that they were talking about.
Honestly, I think she's the first person from the 24th century? 25th century, yeah. The 25th century to propose, prostitution in
but she knows Isaac will win the arm wrestling, so it's not really.
Well, there's a point where she's like, kind of looking at him like, "Are you gonna actually do this?" But she says to him like, make it look authentic, right? And he's like, okay.
I feel like this whole scene could have been funny.
It could have been.
Really,
it really wasn't. It didn't really work for me.
We've seen this 1,000 times.
Yeah, I've seen over the top.
I've seen this whole idea that you can just, I don't know, make a wager in a bar and walk out with a car or I don't know, anything like a motorcycle. It just feels like
did they take the time to sign over the registration and stuff? Like, what do they do in that scenario? Do they just take the bikes or?
We've seen this trope 100 times. Maybe it's time for something new. Another way to solve this problem. Why
don't you just steal it?
Well, Isaac could kick the crap out of everybody.
To the classics.
Yeah, like that was more believable.
Well, Isaac could just beat the hell out of everybody, like Terminator 2 style. Like, what's the problem?
Exactly. Arnold just took the bikes.
Well, the outlaw bikers are just like, you know what? Fair is fair. They won their bet.
They won it fair. Well, and we also know that these renegade bikers obviously have a code of conduct that they follow. So that makes sense.
Most honorable people. Yeah.
Yeah. So they take 2 bikes. One looks like a Harley. The other one looks like an Indian by the looks of it. But I don't know. I could be wrong. But anyway, so now they're sitting down for what appears to be the most boring fucking lunch ever.
Vegetarian, I think.
Oh, it's awful. Just awful. My dogs wouldn't even eat that, I don't think. But anyway.
Well, maybe they are vegetarians because, I don't know, Malloy talks about having to kill all those animals in the woods to survive and how that was really tough for him. And maybe now that he's vegetarian.
Maybe. Yeah, that's a good point. Never thought of that. But still, it looks terrible. Number one, anybody who uses black olives instead of green olives needs to be shot. But anyway, that's just my opinion. But anyway, so they end up talking about how they met, and the entire time, like, this grimacing look on Ed's face is just like, it doesn't leave. Like, Kelly, like, kind of pretends like she's interested in the conversation and stuff, but Ed's just like, this is terrible. This is so bad. Like, the entire time. I don't even remember why I grabbed this shot, but I grabbed it for some reason. But basically, they tell about how they met. She met him in New York. She was at a singing gig, and he asked her about it. So basically, the exact same way that they met on the holodeck, I guess.
Well, okay, but I got a couple questions just about the timeline. So he arrives in 2015. Her phone was from 2015 in the episode Lasting Impressions. Right?
Yes, it was. Yep.
She did get back together with Greg. Remember Greg?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then
You
she
know?
mentions that she ended up leaving him after that.
So they broke up. They broke up after. Okay, but
Yeah.
that I guess
And
that would be in the
then-
time capsule because the phone wouldn't have that information. Right.
That's right. Yep.
So then 3 years later, 2018, I guess, then he somehow finds her.
He meets her in New York,
She's from Ithaca, not New York City, Ithaca, New York. Like that's
which is a little farther away.
yeah, like closer to here than there.
Yeah.
And then again, they somehow end up in Pasadena, California. After that, like
Makes no sense, but anyway, it is what it is, I guess. So anyway, we're back on the ship now, and Lamar is doing all the repairs to the ship because they really screwed it up when they time traveled, I guess. So there's a lot of systems he's got to recheck. This, however, is just I don't know if I'm angry about this scene, but I just think it's stupid.
Let it all out, Jody.
I will. I never not let it all out. So anyway, she's like, he's like, oh yeah, I got a really like bad kink in my back, and she's like, well, I can fix that. And he's like, oh, okay.
Soleil, like I was jealous actually here, although worried for Lamar because
Well, she's got like 10 times the strength of a normal person, so it's like she could like go right through his shoulder blade.
She could theoretically kill him. And like this will come up in the future episode where they start banging.
This is part of their dating arc.
Yeah.
So
like the Soleilans having like this 10 times gravity, right? So like 10 times everything, right? Like even kissing a Soleilan, they could like
they could eat half your mouth.
like everything would be stronger about them.
Take out all your teeth.
Yeah, like
Slaying orgasms are probably insane. That's all I gotta say. All right.
maybe, but anyway.
But anyway, he starts moaning because he's like enjoying this so much, and like all the crew's like, "What the fuck is going on up there?" Which I did like that part.
And they teased this in the episode where she got promoted to lieutenant commander, so they're the same rank now, and
and then instantly they just grab each other and start making out. Which is weird. And then we end up going back to Beloy's house, and he's now in the kids' room where the kid isn't not in there, but they're kind of discussing.
This
he's
is like their private conversation.
Yeah, their private conversation where he's like, "Well, you gotta come back," and he's like, "I'm not coming back. Like this is my family now. Like I've spent 10 years here. I gave up on the fact that I was going to be saved, and you're screwing with this, right?" And Ed's like, I get it, but like, do you realize how many like things you're breaking here? Like there's so many rules you're breaking here. Which, if you're trying to get this guy back on the ship and get him back to your time, why are you telling him about all the things they're going to do to him when he gets back?
Well, yeah, he makes a couple pitches here, like about how, well, if you're here, then obviously the timeline is still intact, and etc.
But then we're told by who was it?
Isaac, I think.
Oh, Isaac was like, yeah, no, everything's still in flux, so it's like nothing's really hammered on.
I think you were right that Seth MacFarlane's performance here is awful. It's that face through the entire episode.
The entire episode is
does
him
not change from that face.
And we've seen, like, don't get me wrong, I don't think Seth MacFarlane is the best actor in the world. He's not, but he's acceptable.
He's capable of more than this.
Yeah, this is I don't know if he's just feeling bad or what the deal is here, but it's just,
I feel like he's got this project off the ground now, and he's like, this is way more work than I wanted to be in this now. I'm the captain, I can't get away.
Yeah, it might be one of those things where like it was fun until they had to do an hour and a half show. And then he's like, now I have to add another 25 minutes, 30 minutes to everything. Not as cool, but anyway,
it's just his whole like disapproving look through the whole thing, but nothing really, no real emotion to it.
I personally end up connecting more with Gordon's like point of view and his
absolutely,
even though like I know he's in the wrong and he's going against his oath and all these things that Ed's pointing out to him, right?
Yeah.
That there's all these consequences, whatever. But because I don't know, you're just way more invested in Gordon in this scene and largely in this story because you know he's like, no, screw you and screw all the union and blah blah blah, you know. And I waited for you guys and.
Yeah, and like even Kelly gives him the biz. Kelly's like, you can't stay here. Like this is so bad. Like you're gonna screw up everything. Union might not even exist now because of this. Your kid could be the next Hitler, you know. Or he could be the one that. And then he says, well, he could be also the person that founds the Union. So, you know, who knows? And then she shows up, so I guess she heard what was going on. And then we get another McFarlane, exact same face, like literally. Here, hold on. Yeah, no, it's pretty much the same. This one's a little less approving, I guess, but past that. But anyway, he's like, yeah, I'm not leaving. And she's like, what does this mean for our family? And he's like, nothing. I'm not leaving, basically. And he's obviously upset. So he basically comes clean to her and says everything. She's like, I already knew you were weird. I suspected this was a problem to begin with.
Well, she's like, I always knew. I didn't like this either because I think this is something writers do sometimes, particularly with women characters. Like, I've always known because I guess they don't want them to feel weak or stupid or something. Like, so
yeah,
therefore, but I'm like, well, why? Like because you knew the pandemic was going to be okay. That's how I knew you were from the future.
Yeah.
I you know, I don't know. It was just like,
yeah.
Do you
It was odd.
I don't know. I didn't buy it, honestly. So
Yeah.
the way it came across in the scene.
Yeah. So anyway, we go back to Charlie and Isaac. They've parked their bikes. I do like how they parked their bikes, though. That's the appropriate way to park your bike. But anyway, well, it depends on the person, I guess. But I watched a lot of Sons of Anarchy, so I know that's the right way.
Me too.
But so anyway, they see this house, and it turns out this house is on the line that they need to get in. And as they're peeking around, the real estate agent shows up, and she's like, "Are you interested in this house?" And she's like, "Oh, you two are obviously a young couple looking for a house." And Charlie's like, "Yeah, sure am." And so anyway, they walk through the house, and she's like, "Does this thing have a basement?" And they're like, "Okay." And so anyways, they eventually get to the basement, and then she's like, "Oh, wait, this is perfect, great price and everything. Let's talk about it. You go away for now." So the lady goes away. Now, I don't know how long it took them to drill, but as the real estate agent, I'm pretty sure you're going to be concerned for the amount of time that it took them to do this. That they're just down there.
Because they're supposed to be talking it over the purchase, and my guess is that they're down here for like 20 minutes, maybe.
Minimum, yeah.
Yeah.
So they end up figuring out this is where they got to drill. They bring out the drill thing, which I thought the drill thing was kind of neat. The fact that two people need to work it seems a little odd, but
and it had to be these two, right? It was like
Yeah.
his skills and her skills.
he's fast, and she understands the four dimensions that
the
they
four
needed.
dimensions, and she's the only crew member that does, apparently.
Apparently, yeah. But I did like the idea of the drill. I think the drill looks neat, and just how they did it. They're talking about how they have to go like sideways on some of the layers so they don't break anything and all that. And then he starts asking her more stupid questions, like, you know, what's your favorite?
Well, she calls him out. Why are you asking me questions? And he was like, well, I never thanked you for bringing me back to life and all that stuff. And she's like, well, I don't want to thank you. I don't want your thank you. And again, like this, not only was it my best friend that died, but I also loved her. And I never told her, and it's your fault.
Yeah, I didn't have time to tell her, so it's clearly your fault. You know, I dragged my ass for a long time, didn't tell her what I liked and what I loved.
Yeah, I didn't need any of that either. Like
this was all just.
I didn't need an explanation of why she's so angry. It was good enough that it was someone she loved, like her friend or her.
Yeah,
like,
I
didn't need this.
But she was also a potential lover, and
I guess, I don't know.
It doesn't really change it for me, and I feel like
Me
it's
neither.
another. I don't mean to be negative here, but I think Seth's writing, from this standpoint, and also from the family standpoint, you know, like two things he's never really seemed to have had. Like I guess so it's
he's good at funny and adventure, but when it comes to this stuff, I think
some of the ethical stuff, and like I think the stuff he's written with like the Mocklins has been amazing. But like I think when it comes to like I guess like why I guess the motivations of Charlie in this case, and maybe to a lesser extent how Gordon's relating to his family in this episode.
Yeah.
I think just don't come across as fully genuine, I guess, or it could be better. A better writer might do a better job with it. So
exactly. So anyway, they end up sealing off the hole after they got what they needed. But again, like they were down there for a long time, and then she's like, "Yeah, no, we're not going to take the house. We decided we're going to break up."
That was kind of funny.
Yeah, it was all right.
We just broke up, and I was like, "Well, that's
we
actually
just
like the
broke up.
best like excuse for why you were down there for so long that I've."
There's a good chance that this kid could actually be Scott Grimes' kid.
I don't know.
See the two
Like
of them beside each
Yeah,
other.
right there, that's shot. Like that's
and
the same person.
ears and everything. I don't know. There's something with like he like I wouldn't be surprised if he's related, but
Or the casting person is just phenomenal. Like they did
and
a good
they're
job.
watching this scene with Johnny Knoxville and who's the other guy? The guy from 30 Rock. That guy.
I can't remember his name.
The voice of Badgie.
Jack McBrayer. Yeah.
He was on what's his name? Jack McBrayer.
Bear, yeah. He was also in Talladega Nights. He was.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
I don't
been in
think
tons of stuff.
I don't think this is a real show we're looking at. Like, I think this is like a scene they filmed for the Orville, like with Johnny Knoxville and Jack.
I think so, but maybe that'll come out in fun facts as well.
There's remarkably little fun facts on this. Just you guys are asking questions I can't find answers to.
We ask you questions. Adam has no answers. So
won't be so much fun then, will it? But anyway, I did like this scene though, where he opens the door and Tala's there.
Yeah,
he's like, "Fuck."
Tala covering up her pointy ears with her toque.
Well, one pointy ear. She doesn't actually wear.
But she's not trying to cover up her ridged nose too much. With
that's
this kid is not related, by the way, to
no.
Okay, just
Very
just a
good casting
thing?
then. Yeah, very good casting.
Because you buy that this is Scott Grimes' kid.
I would have thought
really
that
do.
was his kid. Yeah. I don't buy that he's married to her, but past that.
Well, but he was married to Kelly.
Yeah,
Yes,
he was actually in real life.
Adrian Palicki. I mean, but.
Yeah, he was married to her for a little while. But anyway, so the three of them are just giving him the death stare, basically. Well, Seth MacFarlane's got the exact same thing that he always has. But anyway, and he's like, "I'm not going back. Like, you're gonna have to drag me." And he goes, "You got two options. Either you guys leave through the door, or you hit the floor." Is what he basically says. And he actually draws a weapon on them, which I think that would be a much bigger offense than most of the stuff he's done already.
I think this could have been even more interesting with this scene. That like, what if Malloy actually shoots or tries to do what he says here?
Yeah.
And it's like this pursuit.
Okay, in this scene, I don't know if you guys said this while I was gone, but they know they're going back to 2015 here to get him.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Okay, because I was going to say, why are they here? This seems cruel.
It seems that Ed doesn't make the decision, and he gets the call that they have the stuff, and he's like, he has this epiphany at the end of the scene. He's like, you know what? We'll just go back and get your younger self. No biggie. See you later.
But he could have just omitted that. Actually, I think that would have been better.
I guess
maybe
they only because they only have enough fuel to get back, or like even the fuel that they're about to get.
Well, we don't actually know that. They just needed it. They didn't tell us how much they had. They could have enough now for eons. Like, we don't know.
Maybe, yeah. Okay, well, I guess I was like, well. So it seems like Ed in the scene is like, we're meant to believe he has this change of heart. He's like, I'll just go back and get your younger self. It's trying to take you out of the situation at this point is bad for a number of reasons.
So I'll just go back further and I'll take you out before you even remember any of this.
Right. And I think that Gordon's reaction's great, where he's like, no,
it is.
And
well, because we get this idea too throughout the whole show that Gordon wants love, right? Like he wants
companionship.
This is what he wants out of in the 24th century. This is what he wants.
Yeah.
and he has it now, and it's being taken away from
Someone's
him.
going to try to take it from him.
Not
yeah.
only that, but it's like, if you died right now, you could be like, well, at least I had like, a great 10 years or 7 years with her or whatever. But it's like, it will never have happened. It will be completely, which is almost worse.
And I did like the fact that when they left, he basically hands at the door and he's like, "You can't do this to me. Don't do this to me." And it's a very emotional scene. Actually,
the way he
It's a
screams
really good job.
"Ed" here is like,
as the three of them just walk away, they don't even look back at him. They got the plan, and he goes, "Oh shit, like our time's done." Like, and she's like, "Well, what does this mean?" And he's like, it's, and he's like, blah blah blah. And then we see the pictures of them, which are clearly doctored.
Like, I think you could have gone even more villain with Malloy in this episode.
You could have, and he would still be kind of justified.
It would have made a better episode, I think.
Yeah. So anyway, Ed's like, "Okay, well, let's go back 10 more years." And he's like, "Okay, let's do it." So they do it again. And at this point, what happened here? Did I lose? Oh, there we go. Sorry, guys. Somehow I've lost my things.
Well, yeah. So they go.
So anyway, they go back. So now they're back in 2015. It turns out he's been there about a month, though.
4 months.
Oh, was it 4 months? They said.
Yeah.
So anyway, they just go and get him. We don't see him.
They didn't. Yeah, James was like, they didn't want to build another set, I guess. So
why? It'd be the same fucking set. Just
no, he was in Connecticut.
Oh, that's right. He was
in the woods.
In the
woods.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So maybe it was just a cost thing. But anyway, he gets back on the ship. He's like, "Oh, it's so good to be home," and everybody behind him is just like, "You don't know what you're missing, pal." But anyway, and he's like, "Ooh." But anyway, so they go back, and turns out that the time machine thing has been destroyed with the last one, which seems like a really big problem. Like, how do they get back, guys? Turns out
time dilation, which I actually think this is a clever science fiction solution.
It is clever, yeah.
And has he's like, so normally, the Orville's able to fly around faster than light but the time dilation is blocked out by this field. They're like, we'll just turn off the field, and then
we'll turn off the field, and then everything will age at the same time. Yep.
And then we'll be able to like skip ahead centuries in a few minutes.
And I like the fact that they plotted a course that was completely straight, and then they went back again. So they went halfway, and then they went back.
Yeah, they went
again.
200 years and then 200 years back. But, the other way.
Yeah. So then that way they wouldn't hit anything, or they're worried that anything could basically knock them out. So this was fairly clever, I thought. It's better than the spin around the Earth thing, which is kind of stupid.
Like,
but
because
anyway.
and like Yavin here, like, is time travel possible? Well, going to the future is quite possible for this very reason. Going back in time is considered to be not possible.
That's a harder one, yeah. So, but anyway, they decide they're going to try it. I like that the light was so refracted that we had individual lighting. Which I guess in theory makes sense. It kind of checks out because you wouldn't be able to see all the spectrums of light because you're going so fast, right? So it's basically breaking like a prism, essentially. But I wonder if I wear 3D glasses, if that would look better. But anyway, so they end up arriving. They arrive as far as they could, and then they're like, "Okay, spin around and do it again." So they spin around, they do it again, and sure enough, they arrive back at Earth. And they use their super magnification that they have, and they can see that the base is back where it's supposed to be. Malloy's like, "Yeah, this is cool. I love this. This is great. I don't even know what I'm missing." And so they end up...
Can you just go back for one before we get to this final scene? No.
How far?
No, the other way.
Other way?
Other way. And stop. Nope. Go back. And stop. I kept noticing, like, in this episode that, like, I don't know, the Orville looked different to me. In particular, like, this upper deck section. You see those, like, blue lights there? Like,
yeah, they explained that in the first episode. They were retrofitted.
I really noticed it in this episode for some reason. Like, it was like...
we got a lot of really lit up close-ups of it. So I think
and there was a couple other shots of the ship in this episode. I was like, man, the Orville looks really different.
It almost looks like it's more of a warship now. A little bit.
Yeah, it just looks more high tech, I guess, and like I don't know.
It's got more plating and stuff like that. Yeah.
Right.
But anyway, so I can't remember what this scene's about.
Well, this is them because initially they don't want.
They end up telling him.
Ed doesn't want to tell Gordon the whole story, so he's like, to ask me later. And so this is them kind of.
This is later, yeah.
Telling him, and like what the other Gordon was like, and
he's like, that had to have been a really hard decision. And he's like, yeah, it was hard.
And he can't believe that his future self would be so selfish. He's like, I would never do those things, but clearly you would, right? So it's kind of.
You don't know until you're in the situation.
Well, that's effectively what Kelly says, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, or how maybe what would have Ed done if he had been marooned for 10 years?
Made the same face.
Made the same face.
Oh my God, he would have fallen in love with like 28 women.
Yeah, yeah. And they would have all betrayed him.
Yeah, they would have
all Krill.
All of them would have betrayed him.
Krill.
Yeah.
That's a lot of Krill to run through. But anyway, and they also make a joke here about how like they used to like polish 3 of these bottles a night or something like that, or 2 bottles a night.
Yeah, okay. Like you guys remember that night I drank that black velvet.
I do remember that night actually.
That was only 1 bottle. Like 3 of those they're gonna drink. I guess 1 each, theoretically, right?
Probably, yeah.
Well, we already know. Listen, like Kelly Grayson is definitely an alcoholic. Okay, she can handle it.
They're all alcoholics. This entire ship.
The entire ship likes to drink.
Or they're on drugs. Lamar is like, listen, this whole ship's on drugs.
Yeah, this whole ship's on drugs. But basically, I did like this. I like this scene. I like the camaraderie in the scene. I thought it was pretty cool. I also like that chess set down at the bottom, even though it looks like it'd be hell to play. Because everything's just blocks, basically.
Yeah, and there's another one of the shots of the Orville where I'm like, man, that ship looks.
Yeah, but even you can see here where they've put plating over it.
Yeah, there's a lot more detail on it.
Well, it just looks way more detailed than.
But even like if you look at this, like like even the colors are off, so it's obviously been refitted.
Yeah.
But either way, it's pretty cool. But good observation anyway. And that's it. That's the whole episode, and then we go back to the beginning. So yeah, overall, I think it's all right, I guess. It's not my favorite episode.
I love time travel episodes, and this one is on the bottom of the list.
Yeah, I'm a time travel guy too. I love time travel stuff, but
yeah, there are certain aspects of this I absolutely love. I think that Scott Grimes is great. I think that he brings more to it than is even probably on the page. And this idea of a Starfleet officer, or in this case, a Union officer, going completely like against their code, their honor, and being this selfish, I think is not quite done in this way. I can't remember a specific Star Trek episode that goes this far. And this other idea that they keep presenting as well with it's kind of like with the Traveler, this idea of like space, time, thought. And the fact that Gordon ended up in the year 2015 had to do with the fact that he was looking at the phone and thinking about the hologram of that girl and everything else. And that's kind of
apparently you can place yourself as long as you think about it while it's happening.
There seems to be that's what they're kind of putting out there in this way. And the whole thing about them getting home with the time dilation. So like there's a lot of cool stuff in the episode.
The time dilation thing I think was pretty strong.
I really like that solution.
But you know what is better than everything in this episode?
The fun facts.
The fun facts with Adam.
Fun facts with Adam.
Yeah, there they are.
Let's do it.
Oops.
Okay, so Admiral Izawa is seen in command of the USS California. She had previously commanded the Olympia, which are both Leviathan class cruisers, so those are big ones. In the bar, Ensign Burke says she's from Texas before she drinks a shot of bourbon, and actually, Ann Winters is from Dallas, Texas. When Isaac and Charlie are using the laser drill, the main central panel closest to Charlie shows a diagram of New York's Penn Station. Wow. Okay, Star Trek reference here. Admiral Perry says the Orville will be escorted to Savick 3.
Yeah, I heard that, Savick, yeah.
Ted Danson, who plays Admiral Perry, was in Cheers with Kirstie Alley, who played Savick in Star Trek II Wrath of Khan.
That's different than the Savick we're about to see on the cruise, Adam.
Yes.
Which will be the Robin Curtis Savick.
Jessica Zor and Leighton Meester both worked on the series Gossip Girl together. So Leighton Meester was Amanda, Laura. Pardon me, Laura.
They were both on
Gossip
Gilmore
Girl.
Girls or Gossip Girl?
Gossip Girl.
Okay.
The picture of the dog in the fireplace mantle in Gordon and Laura's home is the same dog picture that was in Laura's fireplace in season 2. And then when Gordon revealed the truth to Laura, she responds, "I know. Somehow I think I've always known," which is more or less what Princess Leia tells Luke after his being revealed.
I love you. I know.
Oh yeah, I was like, I think I've heard this line before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Similar.
Let's see. I got one more here. I think. Whoop. Nah. Isaac's human form appears for the second time after this, being seen in Happy Refrain. So you know what, guys? I'm going to tell you something. I started this episode feeling it was pretty good, but you guys completely changed me.
We're trashing this thing left and right.
I didn't like it that much, and I didn't like it the first time, and I didn't like it the second. I did like Scott Malloy's.
I don't mind the episode. I just find it's draggy.
Yeah, it was long.
Yeah, like I think it's a mixed bag for me. So I don't
All right.
dislike
Well,
I
I think, Dave, your idea of having him, like, I think it would have been better to have him working against them,
right,
trying to save his family, would have made a better episode.
right, and then
Yeah,
like these two conflicting interests. Like, am I cheering for the crew? Or am I cheering for him?
Mm-hmm.
You know. But
All right. Well, shall we rate it?
let's rate her.
All right. Let's rate it. Why does this thing never go for me? I'm trying to make it big, Dave. How do I make it big?
It's
Anyway,
pretty good to
doesn't-
me.
It's looking
All right.
pretty
Does
good.
it look all right? All right.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
big on the
It's
screen.
fine.
Doesn't look big to me. But anyway. All right. Adam, how do you feel about this episode?
6.
6. All right. Dave,
7.5.
7.5. Kevin,
I think I'm at a 6 too.
that's where I am. So Dave liked it more than everybody else, which puts the average, which Dave is about to fix. There it is at 6.4, which, yeah, IMDb loves this episode compared to us.
Yeah, it's got the highest rating of any episode we've looked at this season so far, 8.8.
That
And
is
like
sacrilege.
I remember liking it a lot more, or like having fewer criticisms at least than I did today. You know,
I remember liking it more when it came out. Yeah. What can you do, I guess? But sorry.
This was my first time seeing this episode.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I haven't seen past this point.
Oh,
Oh,
anything.
okay, so we'll try not to spoil it. We already told you that
It
sandwich will
doesn't
show up
matter.
again.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't mind.
But okay, like he will be surprised when that sandwich shows up.
it's
Okay,
true.
great.
When that sandwich shows up, you'll be
I'll-
like, "Wow, there's the sandwich."
I'll forget by that episode anyway.
All right,
But I know what Dave's going to ask me. Dave's going to say, "Hey, Jody, what's
Jody?
the next episode?"
What is the next episode?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Dave. It is From Unknown Graves, which is the Orville discovers a Kalon with a very special ability. I don't remember this episode at all. At all.
Unknown Graves.
Yeah, I don't remember this at all. Like, nothing
This is
about it.
It's a Claire episode.
Oh, really? Is
Let's
it a
see.
Claire episode?
I just want to see from in flashbacks the downfall. Oh, this is the one where this is more of the Kalon stuff. It like we get to see all like the backstory on the Kalons, like how they became. What,
That could be interesting.
you will. I think you're gonna like it a lot, Kevin, when we get to it.
Okay.
All right. Well, the question is, when are we going to get to it? Because I think you guys are on a cruise soon, aren't you?
Yeah, it's probably like 2 weeks, Adam. If you're feeling like we can handle March,
Yeah,
we're coming back on the 2nd, right? So
Get back on Sunday. We can do this for sure.
All right. So we'll schedule for the 3rd then.
March 3rd, yeah.
March 3rd will be the next episode. So we got a 2 weeks off where we can think about Sam and his academic praise and all that and various other things. But meanwhile, Dave, what's going on the channel?
Well, before Adam and I go away, we got a couple. We got one more Star Trek: The Next Generation episodes to cover here this week. We will be doing "Loud as a Whisper" on Thursday.
Oh, I hate that
Season 2, episode 5. Yeah,
I just hate the guy. The guy is so bad in this episode.
God, and his chorus. Oh.
Davin hates it. Jane hates it.
I hate it, but I'm gonna be here, unfortunately, to talk about it.
I don't remember hating this episode.
Yeah.
But you know, we'll see. You know,
I don't hate it, but it's one of those episodes that when I see it coming up in the rotation, I'm like, yeah, I'll just skip this one. It's fine.
It's got Degra. He's the guy on the far left.
No, yeah.
Oh, so it is. Yeah, look at that.
Oh, it is.
Young Degra. So watch out for that. We'll be talking about that episode. And then next week, Davin will be hosting Star Trek: The Next Generation. Adam and I are going to try to call in from the ship. He'll be covering the Schizoid Man.
Oh, I like this episode. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, well, we'll have to...
Is this the one where the guy's sick?
Grandpa.
Like Grandpa Soong. So,
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, it's
better than the episode you're about
To
to
know him was to love him.
Yeah, it's more Brent Spider's performance.
Yes.
He's
good?
pretty funny in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. Do we have anything else to share?
No, I think that's all the plugs.
All right. Well, I hope you guys.
Adam was on today doing a probe with Davin,
that's right.
So go back and listen to that. Voyager, of course, the Voyager 30th anniversary coming up, or is in effect, I guess, this year. So it's gonna be cool to be with those cast members in a couple days.
Yeah, you guys are gonna have to give us the deets when you get back.
Well, we're gonna hopefully post some videos and some photos from the ship as we're
that'd
going.
be nice. Yeah.
So we got the expensive internet package. So watch out for that.
How exciting! Internet on the high seas, huh?
That's right.
All right. Well, gentlemen, unless we have anything else to say, Kevin, you've been really quiet. Do you have anything else to say? Do you want plug anything?
Nope. I'm good.
Go fund me for a car. Anything like that?
Please don't find me on the internet.
Don't find me. I don't want to be found. Leave me alone.
Where can we find you, Kevin? Nowhere.
Nowhere. Don't even
Anything
bother
to plug?
looking.
Nope.
Don't even bother looking. All right. Anyway, gentlemen, thank you for joining me again, as always. And hope you guys have a great trip. And we'll see you on March 3rd, I guess, is when we're coming back.
See you then.
All right. Live long and podcast, gentlemen.
See you guys.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.